the managing director of Paragon Trust Company and tax and private client practitioner, joins us to bring a common sense approach to money in a world of total insanity. Let's welcome Tony D'Angelo.
All right, our good pal Tony D joins us each and every Tuesday at 7:05 to share with us his knowledge of what he digs up the entire previous week, and we want to make sure we get this out there. Tony will be on with our other pal, Marty Olson, tomorrow night on Breeze Line Channel 25, and that's a 7 o'clock start. Right, Tony?
I believe it is, yeah. They tell me where to show up, I go.
That's it. That's it. Well, you and Marty do a nice job together. I
love Marty. He is such a nice gentleman.
Yeah.
He has his hands in so many different things, and it's the quickest hour you're ever going to spend, other than the quickest 20 minutes I spend here.
Well, I appreciate that. And, again, I'll be watching for sure tomorrow night. If you guys have Breeze Line, make sure you check out Tony along with Martin Olson. You get a chance to hear a different type of a conversation, more than likely, than what we give here for the 20 minutes. So, listen, off the air, we were very briefly talking about this, but how can I let you come on without at least talking a little bit about this decision by the Supreme Court, the end of Roe versus Wade. Thoughts?
Well, in capsule summary, it's where I may believe abortion is wrong and murder is wrong. We're going to see red are reds and blue are blues. And the concerning factor to me, Lee Elci, is that while people are cheering, this decision is going to ratchet down to the states. Constitutionally, it's a great decision. Should have happened all along. But when you have state legislators, like my own, who are going to be making these decisions and where people will run to places because of it, this is actually pretty frightening to me.
Well, it's going to make
it really is, as far as where it all comes down.
Yeah, I think it'll make, you had said this off the air brilliantly, which bluer states blue and redder states red. True, no question about that. But I think in this case, it's a just cause because, like you had said as well, it's not fit for the Constitution. It's a state's issue that should be taken up by the states. Each and every state can do their own thing, and I'm sure Connecticut won't budge. In fact, it'll probably dig its heels in when it comes to the abortion issue. But it's one that didn't belong in the Constitution, as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
No, and I mean, my belief is anything that brings responsibility. You no longer have the cop out of it's legal throughout the country, and life should not be trivialized like that. This is a decision one should make upon all facts and circumstances. And you live in a state like we do, they don't want you making any decision. They want you making, they want to make their decisions for the children, for the schools, whatever. And heck it is, they want to decide commerce, and I fight as hard as I can against that.
Let me ask you this question. I want to ask you because I just thought about this. So, politically speaking, do you think this hurts Republicans in the state of Connecticut or Democrats? Because this is now going to be an issue. A lot of people are, in this particular case, are one-issue voters, right? So if there was a Second Amendment issue that was out there, some people are one-issue voters on something like that. Abortion, I think, will present itself as a one-issue vote. Does it help or hurt Republicans?
I think it hurts.
Yeah, so do I.
I think it clearly hurts because it separates whatever you want to call it. What they used to talk about years ago, the 8 o'clock Catholic and the noontime Catholic. And the 8 o'clock Catholic was the one that was devout, that was there in the morning. And the noontime Catholic, spent the night in the bar and came in the church. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's going to draw a wedge right there. And it's really going to take this decision and bring it to people and say, hey, what do you think? What do you believe? Right. And I don't think it will be appreciated by many people nationally or locally in the Republican Party, in my opinion.
Yeah, because now you're going to have to make a decision as a state senator candidate or a state rep candidate. I mean, listen, some folks are grounded in bedrock and their opinion has never wavered, but there has been this cloak of being able to hide behind, this is what the Supreme Court says, so blah,
correct.
blah, blah. So now, though, it's going to change state by state, so you're going to have to be heard, and you're going to have to basically register to what it is that you believe in when it comes to that. All right, Tom.
And I just shake my head and say, why can't people make their own decisions? That's But we've come so far away from that, and that's the part that actually this morning hearing it kind of makes me shake a little bit. Because so many people are incapable of making their own decisions. The political system has made the decisions for them.
Nanny state, cradle to grave, from the beginning to end. That's what they want, and that's what they're trying to achieve. All right, I know you didn't call to talk about that today. Again, what's new in the world of Connecticut politics as it pertains to you?
You and Mitchell Edis made me think. And as my father would say, you're thinking again, where's the wood burning this time? But when you guys were talking on Friday, and as far as something just doesn't seem right in the whole how COVID got here, the information, the flow, and there was one part in the dialogue, and I think you had said it to Mitchell, and you said, what if they all knew something and didn't tell us, when they could have told us or should have told us? And there's a missing link to this whole thing of the duplicate formation of the nonprofits where, the Advanced CT nonprofit, which, still has me, why do you form another nonprofit and make it a one-trick pony just to hide McKinsey to do COVID, where you got this other nonprofit that, had the same general purpose, for crying out loud. It's been there 25 years. And I started to look at the in-court papers for the Advanced CT Foundation, and they were actually started in January of 2020, before any of us really knew what was happening. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. I mean, why is this started when it is started? And the timing is just so curious to me. And I looked at it and I said, what else is happening in the world at that time? What else is happening in the region? And I talked to a lot of people. I'm blessed to do that, and I've been conversing with some folks in New Jersey. And in New Jersey, I mean, they're close to New York, so they're not as controlled as we might be. And somebody on Sunday night had sent me. There's a big thing with Phil Murphy and McKinsey and the whole thing with COVID, and you didn't tell us things and all this other kind of stuff. But and Murphy's not doing such a hot job of keeping that away from him. But somebody had sent me New Jersey's McKinsey COVID contract, and I started to read down it, and the date of it, Lee Elci, is April 20th of 20. So I'm sure it's the same darn thing we got in Advanced CT, but, maybe with a couple of names changed. Change the name of the governor. Make sure you do that. But and you go through all the things about control and metrics and all this other sort of stuff that's become well familiar to us. Again, Ned never decided that. But it's very curious to me. When you actually look at the document itself, the one that McKinsey did, you know how you do a Word document and you make a watermark or you make a header or something like that and you put the date so this way you don't have to keep repeating it over and over and over? Well, on this contract, the date of the whatever you want to call it, the first draft or when this document was started is December of 2019. So Phil Murphy obviously knows something in December of 2019. And remember Ned, Ned with Andrew, Ned with Phil, the band of brothers, we're going to regionalize everything. I'm sure it's like, well, hey, Andrew, come on over here. We're going to do this thing, but we're not going to tell Ned. He's ignorant. So it's just this thing of, I'm now at this point with anything, like you mentioned 2,000 Mules. It's like, what did they know and when did they know it? It's like you're starting a document in 2019 and you're negotiating with McKinsey on COVID. I mean, I'm going to make that tweet and I'm going to take the page and I'll put it up there. You can let me all know what y'all think of it. But it calls to mind something a little bit more troubling in that there's only two scenarios here that can happen. Look, Ned in January, Phil Murphy, at least as far back as December. And there's only two scenarios, neither of them good. Either A, there's some dastardly thing coming from China, a plot, and everybody's tipped, nobody's talking. Much bigger than my pea brain for this segment.
Yeah, it seems implausible, but go ahead.
Yeah, right. Or they know something is going to come down. They know there is some vicious virus, And in their fiduciary obligation as government officials, they don't tell a soul. You know, they don't. Where if we knew something was happening in January, hey, you know, maybe we wouldn't have had this mass panic shutdown and all this other stuff in March. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm picking up on your 2,000 mules thing, but now I'm thinking, what did they know and when did they know it?
No, I mean it's a curious tweet that you uncovered. I mean, I don't have an answer for that. I was more talking about, did they know? And listen, you dug even deeper, but I was talking about maybe did they really realize it wasn't as lethal as we had all thought it was, but they wanted to keep us under wraps for whatever reasons anyway. Obviously, they had their own reasons for that.
Well, enough to, you know, set up a sham nonprofit, enough to start negotiations, and you know, it's. It's just, and then knowing how untrustworthy this has been for as long as it has, it's like, you know, back to the beginning of our discussion. They really want to control everything, and they're just concerned that if we get information, we'll do something terrible with it, and they just won't let us make our own decisions. It's just very troubling to me.
You know, behind this microphone every day, I feel less confident with the political leaders that we have sent to Washington. More Washington than Hartford. The local people, I think, are good people generally. But I really feel like, you know, you get down there and there's this huge iron curtain cloak that separates the regular people, us, from them. And if you just look at the people in power now and how, you know, you can almost point to every single person and there's some kind of controversy, some kind of scandal that is in their background, right? I mean, from the president right on down, there's something nefarious. So do I believe that these kinds of things are now possible? Yes. I hate to say it, but I think that they're so much out for themselves, Tony. They'll do anything to keep power and you know, retain it.
Well, then it's pump the airwaves, you know, keep the message out. Let them forget about that. And it's getting to the point, I mean, you know, again, I show my age, but I'm old enough to remember Nixon, where he started believing his own lies. Here it's the kind of thing where we just throw more lies and we just confound the public with more lies. They'll forget the lies that happened, you know, 3 weeks ago.
Right. Tony, well, I listen, Tony, I don't have an answer for this. I think a lot of people out there, they're thinking about this. Just think about, you know, the people who go down, again, I keep going down to Washington, but they're in the mix of some kind of ugly scandal. Now, people in our regular everyday lives, we don't have those kinds of scandals. You know, people do get divorced. People cheat on each other. People do cheat on taxes. There are things that are happening, but they do it to the nth level. And they more often than not, they all get away with it. And it's, I don't know. I like I said, I think these conspiracy theories and what the pulling of the strings behind the scenes, it's very, not only is it plausible, I think a lot of it happens. I do. So. Well,
obviously they knew something way back when.
Right,
they
that's
were
my
planning
point.
For it. I mean, you start a document in December. Right. You know, and you're negotiating and you're putting this plan out, but you know, there's nothing happening here. And I mean, as an American citizen, as what I like to consider myself a thinking human being, and you know, you're going to lie to my face again. I mean, I get a little bit offended.
Right. After a while, you know, we have to stand up as a people. We have to do something. We have to push back eventually because this is just not acceptable. All right, what else you got?
Okay. And I don't know. You know, I have 5 animals, and I love lollipops, and I love dogs and things like that. But while we're in this, whatever you want to call it, feel good, everybody get along, tax cut kind of stuff, you know, happening, and you know, we're all supposed to, you know, think, hey, it's COVID's over, and all this other kind of stuff. Think about it. COVID's over. What plot is happening right now, folks? You got to ask yourself. You got to wonder. But remember Semaphore. Remember they quit state testing. I guess it was in December. And actually, when and the stock has dropped like a reverse rocket, hurtling to the ground. And actually, when you go back and you look at the SEC documents, they didn't quit testing in Connecticut. They quit testing, you know, throughout the world. They completely pulled out of testing nationally, which makes you wonder. You know, obviously they were the first in testing, And now they're saying, if you read the SEC documents, there's a lot of availability of test translation in English, and we really can't compete with what's out there. So the question is, what were they giving people to be tested at first? But it's very clear. It is undisputed that they are out of testing. Now, I guess at one point in your life, if I know you as well as I do Lee Elci, you had an 8-track tape player.
I sure did.
Yeah. And why have you stopped buying 8-track tapes?
Because, A, they don't make the 8-track players anymore, and the technology improved.
Okay. So you don't go, it's like my father would say, alimony is feeding oats to a dead horse. You don't feed oats to a dead horse, right? In Connecticut, however, they love to feed oats to a dead horse. Now, again, Semaphore does not test. So you're not going to be paying somebody not to do something, right? So while we're doing lollipops and rainbows and unicorns and all this other kind of stuff, on April 30th, in other words, Saturday, Semaphore was paid $2.1 million for laboratory services and testing. $2.1 million for oats to a dead horse. And you think that's good? This gets even better. They haven't posted the contract. They haven't posted the invoice. They haven't posted the purchase order. I'm on a major shakedown now for this, but my Lord, it's like while all this stuff is happening, while all this subterfuge and everything is wonderful, the money is still going out to the millions of dollars being walked out the back door, and nobody seems to give a flip.
I mean, is this the last payment? Because I'm assuming it's a payment plan. They don't.
I can't tell you. I can't find the contract. I'll get the contract.
I mean, they already said, they came out and said, we're not doing this anymore.
Exactly. $2.1 million on Saturday. I mean, this state of Connecticut, talk about an act of Congress, would never work on a Saturday.
Well, you know why it was on a Saturday, because they didn't want anybody to know about it. But you found it. So, okay, we have to find this out, because we know for a fact Semaphore no longer does testing. So I'm assuming that this has to be money owed to them, I guess, right?
Well, the invoice actually came in, at least from what I can see on the chart, like a week before. This is, whatever you want to call it, a cash-starved, desperate corporation. They're not getting so busy and so profitable. Oh, I think I'll go and do some billing. It's like, my Lord,
Man.
I don't know, literally, I don't know whether to laugh, cry, scream, or throw up. And, does anybody know? Does anybody care? I mean, I care.
Well, I think we all care. It almost seems like what we had just talked about prior to this topic, which is, okay, here's 2-point-something million to tide you over, and just shut up, because I know you know some stuff that you're not supposed to talk about.
Well, and what do you know, and what's, and again, and this is the whole thing. That contract board of the state of Connecticut is a total and complete mess. I've said this for a year. They don't post things. It's unsearchable, and they're obviously paying. And the thing is, in this fiscal period, they paid Semaphore like 3-point-something million. This $2 million came in or $2.1 million came in on Saturday. It's like, what are we paying for?
Wait, what's the total they paid them? They paid them more. They paid them a lot more than that.
Well,
right?
yeah, but this fiscal period, in other words, in the period after they said they weren't testing anymore.
Right. Gotcha.
They, it's.
Maybe Ned feels bad.
For me, I'm speechless.
And maybe Ned feels bad for him, so throw him a few million to tide him over.
Well, he's a master at running off to one thing, and then this is another thing, and this is the thing that I know we have like a minute left or something, but he last night he comes out with something. I think we'll look at this next week, but another whatever you want to call it, government give out program for home ownership and keeping your home, and Connecticut wants to make sure homeowners keep their home, and of course this is going to be a big grab bag and all kinds of fees and expenses and things like that, because he wants to show us all how wonderful he is. Meanwhile, he's walking millions of dollars out the back door, or his people are, on a Saturday.
Amazing. Tony D'Angelo,
Unbelievable.
incredible. Tony D'Angelo 7 on Twitter. Follow him. It is a must follow. Watch him tomorrow night on with Marty Olson. If you have Breeze Line channel, I believe it's still 25. I know they flipped from Atlantic Broadband to Breeze Line. I assume it's still channel 25. Marty does a great job. Tony and Marty together are always a hoot. A lot of fun and a lot of information, so make sure you watch that. And, Tony, let me just dust off I do have an 8-track here in the studio for you, so let me see if I can't find a nice track
I
to play.
can't wait. I got mine somewhere, too.
All right, kid, have a good one. Thank you.
Take care, pal. Bye.
All right, we'll be back. Stick around.
Want some whiskey in your water, sugar in your tea? What's all this crazy question they're asking me? This is the craziest party that could